Hey folks, good morning. This is it, the last installment of my review of the Red Book of Magic. Last of our spirit magic spells, we're going to do S since we've done everything else already. Okay, second sight. As you view the power aura of living beings, right? Okay, and undead don't have power, so you don't see anything for them. And it allows you to gauge relative strength, and this can get kind of funky. Does not allow the viewer to see the spirit world, which means if there are spirits in the spirit world, you don't see their power. It's only if they've been manifest and are visible, or have visibility cast on them, so they're on the middle world, right? Okay. And shamans naturally possess this ability, so they don't need to spend magic points. In fact, I wouldn't even say they need to spend time. They just turn on and off, like the whole River Rise and Farseer, as long as it's going kind of thing. Okay, but assistant shamans do need to cast a spell. Okay. So the aura of creatures glow within range, right? And are visible only to the caster. Now, if there's a bunch, it says here, if many creatures are within range, it's difficult for the caster to determine the power of each. And that's a GM call, right? How much is too many and how much is being close together? For example, my game the other day, we had melee going on, right? With like 3 baboons and one of the giant cats, and a shaman wanted to, do second sight on these creatures to see, if any of them are really powerful or not, so they can target spells maybe. That's what they're trying to think of doing. Or maybe he was going to do spirit combat with his fetch kind of deal. But there's 5 guys within 5 hexes, so yeah, no, you can't tell. It's a mess. But at what point do you get to determine that? If you've got a horde's not the right word. No, maybe it's a horde of rubble runners, right? You got a bunch of rubble runners all together. You're gonna be able to tell. Now, rubble runners probably don't have a whole lot of power either. Is that important? Now, it does detect the power auras of enchanted items. I'm assuming that means magic point enchantment, spell matrix enchantment, spirit binding enchantment. I believe it's talking about those kinds of things, right? Actual enchantments. It has magic. Of course, those numbers would then be how much power you have in it, right? Doesn't tell the magic points though. So yeah, there's a magic crystal there, but then you get to the whole. You got a guy. He's got a couple magic crystals on him. It's all together. You can't really tell, right? Okay, that's kind of confusing. But then, same sentence, though the magic points invested into spells are not. So does that mean if you got a Blade Sharp 2 up, that's counted as an enchantment? You just can't tell me points? I don't think so. It's not enchantment. It's a spell. Although enchantments are spells too. Or you can tell that it's enchanted with spell matrix, but you can't tell how many points are in it to see how big the spell is. Yeah, I'm not sure. Still kind of. Plus, again, if you're holding on to stuff, it's all going to be fuzzy. Okay. Okay. Determining relative strength. So you've got your power 10, right? If you're looking at somebody who's at 5 or below, maybe 4 or below, you can see it's low. If it's 16 or higher, then it's high. It's between 5 and 15, plus or minus 5 of yours, just around you, right? Now, a shaman, well, it says here the GM should add the fetch's power to the shaman. So if the shaman's got 15 power and the fetch has 10, that's 25. So if you can tell if somebody's 20 or lower, that's really helpful. Or 31 or higher. Now that would be helpful, right? But that 15 to 25 range, that's a hugely significant buffer of variability that makes it not quite so helpful. Okay, now you can use second sight to fight beings in the dark, because dark can't see anything, but you can see their aura, so you can see where they are, so you can attack them. Now you can't see their weapon swings, etc., so you can't parry or dodge anything. You cast spells. Let's see that. I'm talking about spells, but I would say you could target. Oh, there it is. Target spells. There we go. Target spells and blows. So you can attack with spells and physically. Now, any heavy, opaque surface, like a thick woolen blanket, a wooden wall, a door, etc., blocks second sight. So it's not like you can see through the spirit world to them or something, which is interesting. I like that. That's good. That's a good buffer. Okay, Seek Sendone Temple, new one. The spell causes a gleam of golden light to flash on the horizon at the exact direction of the nearest Sun Dome temple. Now I have to ask about horizon. Because we're flat, there's no curvature. So wouldn't the horizon be the edge of the sky dome? Okay, shimmer. Blurs or distorts the visual image of the target. Makes it hard to hit. I like that. Each point subtracts -5. Does that mean it adds 5? No, okay. Double negatives, guys. Okay. Subtracts 5 from the combat skill of any enemy attempting to hit the affected target. Has no effect on automatically hit. Attacks that automatically hit. I think Sure Shot's one of those automatic hit things, but I was talking about spells like Disruption. Automatically hits, you just have to look for the power. Nor does it make it harder to cast spells or overcome the target's power, because it's just a physical kind of thing on seeing them and making an attack. Okay, incompatible with Counter Magic Protection and Spirit Screen again. I'm not sure why. Okay, silence suppresses the noise created by movement, living things, and mechanical objects and such, right? So the clank of your plate armor is silenced. However, it doesn't stop. It says deliberately created or there we go. Deliberate or inadvertent loud noises, like someone who's casting a spell, issuing commands, stepping on a branch that makes a large snap, knocking over a vase, making it shatter, or similar sounds are caused by your fumbled move quietly roll. Good to know. So a missed move quietly roll won't be messed with your silence spell, just a fumbled one. Okay, sleep. You have to overcome the target's power and then go into a deep sleep for the duration of the spell. They can only be awakened by a handful of things. If they're injured, they awaken. If a hostile spell is targeted on them, they awaken. But it doesn't have to be successful, just targeted. And then once the spell actually expires, they go into a light sleep where they can awaken normally. Slow, again, overcome the target's power. This halves their movement and adds 1 to their strike rank. It doesn't say anything about stacking. Because slow is a 1-point spell, right? Yeah, 1 point, not variable. There's variable. Okay, yeah, it's a 1-point spell. But it says it can reduce the movement of a creature to 0. Does that mean if multiple people cast slow on somebody, do they stack? That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Because you can reduce their movement to 0. Person who's 8, you have to have 8 slow spells thrown on him, which would increase his, not even 8. Well, no, it's by half. That's weird. Okay, so 8 goes to 4, 4 goes to 2, 2 goes to 1, 1 goes to a half. Do you consider a half to be 0 then? Or would half round up? So you have to go to a quarter. 4, 2, 1, half, quarter. Take 5. 5 different slow spells on you to drop you to 0 movement, which would add 5 strike ranks to your attacks. Interesting. Okay. And examples here. Huntsman, City Watch, Intelligent Prey Beast, like baboons. Do baboons have slow spell? I know they got mobility. I bet they have slow as well. They're not really trying to chase anybody down. Okay, Sneeze. New spell. Overcome their power. They begin sneezing on the next strike rank. It lasts for 1d10 strike ranks. And while they're sneezing, they're practically incapacitated, right? They can only dodge or parry, and then only at half. If they're trying to cast a spell, why can they cast a spell if they can't attack? If they only dodge and parry, how can they cast a spell? And if they can cast a spell, why can't they physically attack? Because if you're going to cast a spell, Takes a concentration roll for each strike rank that he is sneezing while attempting the spell. And any single failure of those concentration rolls, ruins the spell. So dex strike rank plus magic points of the spell. So for 4 strike ranks, 3 if you're counting -1, you've got to roll your concentration 3 times in order for your spell to get off. If you're attacking with a weapon, 2 strike rank plus 2 strike rank plus 2 strike rank is 6. You have to make 6 concentration rolls in order to make an attack. I could buy that. Okay, Solace, new spell. Acts upon the mental distress of the target, whether it's from grief, loss of loved one, fear of death, or whatever, right? It lasts for 24 hours. Well, for 24 hours, it lasts for 24 hours. In which case, the victim is relieved of their stress and are enabled to go about their normal life. It does not relieve pain from wounds, but we don't have pain in here, which is something I would actually like to incorporate into my games. Also does not reduce the probability of death or maiming, so as you're taking damage, you're going to take damage, right? It doesn't stop damage. Yeah, it's talking about pain, being wounds, physical hit points to damage, maybe. But it does enable them to face it. Now, I had a question that when I saw it going mental distress, does that include mind blasted madness? Would this spell relieve those effects? I'm kind of thinking so. Okay, Speed Dart. When cast upon any missile, adds +15 to their attack and +3 damage when fired. Don't fire it, you're not going to do any damage. Okay. This spell can be cast upon a missile. We just said that earlier. That was somewhere else with another missile thing too, wasn't it? Spell. Okay, again, they're doing this duplication, which they need to do for every one of these spells, right? That it only works once if the missile is used before the spell expires, right? So if you do a fumble or you break your bow, that kind of stuff, etc., 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 you drop the arrow, it goes, right? Okay. The magical damage can hurt otherwise invulnerable thermal weapon creatures like Telmori Wolf Brothers, okay? They're not hurt by the regular damage, but the magical damage does damage. Okay. Again, Speed Dart is incompatible with fire and multi-missile, and I don't understand why, because if you cast Speed Dart on your arrow and you fire it, and then you cast Fire Arrow and you fire it, the arrow turns into fire. It's still a missile. But maybe the transition from arrow to fire breaks the spell because it's no longer the arrow. Maybe. In multi-missile, it would be just the initial missile. The magical ones don't get any bonus. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Spell Matrix Enchantment. Sometimes the way they try to say things, because it's different, kind of gives my GM EBGs, hair stand on end. No, why do we say it this way? By creating a spell matrix. How about a spell matrix allows, or spell matrix the creation of spell matrix, something like that, right? Cast can store the potentiality for spirit magic spells, or spirit magic, spells, right? In an item, right? Anyone who can use the item, there's that can use. What does that mean? We're not playing D&D where clerics can't use swords, right? Can use. What does that mean? They gain the ability to use the spell whenever they're in physical contact with the item. Okay, got the physical contact. That should be it, right? Anybody in physical contact with the item can cast a spell. What's this can use thing? I don't know. Okay. If they lose contact, they lose potentiality of the spell. Perfect. Okay, the caster cannot make a matrix for a spell they do not have access to. What does that mean? I mean, don't we know our spirit magic spells? If I have access to all the Orlanthi spirit magic spells by having access to the temple, don't I? Should I be able to create a matrix for any of those spells? I think it's ones right? Okay. And you have sacrifice permanent power, point of permanent power for every magic point needed to cast the spell. That's what makes the enchantment, right? Okay. And here goes this, you can build up over time, like we talked about before, and all the rune stuff. So I talked about this before, right? With the rune spell. So if you build a Blade Sharp 2 later on, you can take another magic point, another power point, put it into it, and do Blade Sharp 4, right? And it doesn't matter the amount of time in between you're doing these things, because it can be done over several weeks or even seasons. And it says, of course, the Matrix does not have the spell until the entire sacrifice is made. Well, what about this build-up stuff? I've got a Blade Sharp 2 Matrix on my sword. I've got Blade Sharp 2. Now, I don't have Blade Sharp 3 yet because I haven't put that third point in. I get that. But if it's like a 3-point spell you're trying to make an enchantment for, and you only do 1 or 2 points for it, yeah, I get that. It's not enchanted yet. Okay. Spirit. Oh, again, the Matrix points do not count against your charisma limit. Got it. Okay. Oh, and when you're using that spell, it's your power times 5, just like normal spirit magic. And you have to expend the magic points. Okay. Spirit binding allows the user. This spell is used. Allows the user, the caster, to bind spirits into familiars or magical objects. So we've got two things. We got familiars. We got magical objects. And it says to check out the binding enchantment to spirits and animals thing on page 249 and 250 of the Runequest book, which has got like 2 full pages almost on this whole binding and what it all means and how it works and stuff. Okay. Spirits bound into familiars, right, demands the use of specially bred cult animals. So you can only cast this, you can only bind a spirit into a specially bred cult animal to make it a familiar. So you can't just choose an animal and put a spirit into it. It's got to be a cult. That's probably because this is a cult spirit. That makes sense. Okay. Magical objects must be magical items can be made using the binding enchantment spell. We've talked about that before. Okay. And it says here that others magical items for only supposed to. Okay, other magical items can be obtained from a temple or while adventuring. Others, they talk about spirits like you can bind a spirit to yourself from the temple to you kind of thing. Because shamans can bind spirits to their fetch, but not to themselves normally. So that kind of threw me off. But what they mean here is other magical objects. Can be obtained from the temple or while adventuring, right? Because magical spirit-bounded items are out there, right? Okay. The death of the binder frees the spirit, even if the binder is immediately revived. If I've bound a spirit to an object, a binding enchanted object is the binding enchantment that is holding the bound spirit, not me anymore. So I'm not, yeah. I don't quite get that. Now, I remember somewhere they're talking about is the spirit of the caster is actually holding on to the bound spirit. But if that's so, then why do we need objects to bind them into? We put permanent power into this thing. That's what's holding them. Yeah, I don't get it. Now, shaman, bound spirits, etc., hanging around. Yeah, you die, they go away. Okay, spirit screen, a spiritual arm, absorbs spiritual damage. Each point of spirit screen is a point of spiritual armor. Okay, incompatible with counter magic protection shimmer. I don't know why. Then it gives a huge. It gives a 2-paragraph example of Vichy fighting. He's got only so many hit points, but he's got all the spirit screen up, and so you have to do a bunch of damage to do any damage to him. Okay. Strength adds 8 points of strength to the target for the spell's duration if the target's strength plus size is 40 or less. This increases the combat damage by 1 step on the damage bonus table. That's not enough if it's more? Isn't once you get up above that, there's still 8-point difference? Yeah, you increase your damage bonus by 1 step. Keep it easy. Okay. It also increases all agility and manipulation skills, including weapon skills, but weapon skills by definition are manipulation skills, so I keep mentioning that. I don't know. And then they give this table on strength modifiers, just like glamour and the charisma thing, right? 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 or more. Plus 5, no bonus. Plus 5, plus 10. You get plus 5. Okay, also allows you to lift and carry heavier objects. Strength is incompatible with vigor, and I spoke about with vigor why. And that is it, folks. We are done. Unless you want to go through the index with the Red Book of Magic. Great purchase, you need it. I have, TM concerns I've mentioned throughout these videos about, certain definitions and words mean things and all that kind of stuff. But we've got all the magic in one place. I get that. Happy gaming.